Hey everybody, Rob here. This episode is coverage of the Las Vegas Open narrative event from Dennis and Kevin. If you're looking for reactions to the Emperor's Children reveal or our look at the new Eldar Codex, that'll be coming next episode. So without further ado, let's hand it off to Kevin and Dennis.
Welcome to Preferred Enemies, the Warhammer 40k podcast. It's here at the Las Vegas Open. I am Kevin.
Dennis.
And that's it. It's just the two of us today. We are here live at the Las Vegas Open, off the strip at the Rio. I guess we'll just jump in. What's your opinions overall of the LVO so far compared to other events?
My first thing, because I've always said I wanted to go to the LVO, but never actually been. Mm-hmm. You got Rob to come with you one year, because you come every year. But
it's the shortest drive. Yeah. It's like 5 hours, so that's Midwest short.
My first impression is big.
Yes. Very big. I mean,
I've come actually to the Rio for other conventions, and we filled up one room.
Yep.
This fills up the whole convention area wing.
Yes.
So, and as I also complained to Kevin this morning, when we were walking to there, after we got past like the place where you show your badges, it was still in between 5 to 10 minutes to walk to our event tables.
We're in the Masquerade Tower, so we have a shorter walk than if we were in Ipanema. It still takes us 20 minutes to walk to get down there.
About 10 to get to the thing and then 10 to get to our tables.
So if we were on the other tower, it would be easily 30 minutes to walk down there. Yeah.
Because that's how big this is.
And we got lucky. We're on the 7th floor, so we actually don't get as stuck on the elevators as other people have.
Fair.
So we've actually gotten pretty lucky. It's big. There were 560 some tables for the grand tournament.
Well, that's the other thing I want to say about the grand tournament is when I came for those other conventions, that room is where we had the entire convention.
Yes.
That one room is just the grand
event.
Tournament.
Yeah.
It is packed so much. So it's kind of crazy. Because you said, hey, go in, check it out. Before I actually came up to have us record, I walked through there. And
it's shoulder
crazy.
to shoulder. It's insane. Yeah.
Well, it's not shoulder to shoulder as we are, but
feels like it at times.
A lot of those guys looked so focused. And I mean, you could tell these guys are serious.
Honestly, I think the first LVO I came to was 2018. Well, yeah, it would have been 2018 because it was after I moved to Phoenix. That was basically around the time that I stopped playing like competitively, like at Renegade Open and Midwest Conquest, stuff like that. And a big part of that was coming here to LVO and seeing the level of intensity, the level of precision, the level of practice that goes into playing this game at a high level.
Right.
And I don't want to do that. It's funny because I said initially I don't want to do that because I don't want to play one army nonstop to the exclusion of all else for years. And then I haven't played anything with my world leaders in 3.5 years.
I mean, that's just funny. But
right.
To your point, it's because you have to stay laser focused and to advance well. You have to know your army, know your opponent's army, kind of know what stratagems you've got, what you can do.
Yeah.
And then the frustrating thing is not forget things and don't make mistakes.
I was watching an old John Boyce video where he's talking about professional poker players, and he describes himself as a donkey. It's like, as a player of poker, I'm a donkey. I am bad. I don't know what I'm doing. I panic easily. You can have a lot of fun being a donkey.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you can have a lot of fun doing that. If you never learn anything else, everything is like this amazing mystery. I feel like that's about where my level of play with 40k is. I'm like, I don't need to learn more because that way I'm like pleasantly surprised when cool stuff happens.
Well, we can talk about some cool stuff that I told you about.
There was some cool stuff that happened. Yeah. Okay, cool. So I wanted to get, I'm glad you had your good opinion of the LVO.
Yeah. I will say then, here's my negative opinion. all the tables are much too close together.
Yes.
They got all those tables. I think they could have had more space put in there, but still, all the tables are put so close together. Champs felt like I did have more space because I think they had either space you could put on the tables. But we're in one of the side rooms, and we're with Sigmar, we're with a few other things.
And we're on, the same standard size table, but 4 players per table.
Yes.
So that is tight.
And 8 tables in a
tables
row.
Yeah,
so if you're in the middle, well, you can walk to the other side, but
it's hard.
When you start having trays and carts and chairs.
I accidentally banged into somebody's tray the other day and knocked some models off. Didn't break anything. Somebody bumped me earlier and actually the cosplay, the chest piece that I had re-glued broke. I've re-glued it again. Hopefully it should be fine. But yeah, it's tight. It
is very tight.
It is different than being at say the Grand Narrative or, humble brag, Midwest Conquest.
Right.
Because Midwest Conquest, we explicitly try to design the table setup so that you have 360 access to the table and you have side space to put stuff on. Because I hate that feeling of, okay, I'm just going to put my stuff here because I have nowhere else to go. I love that flexibility of being able to actually walk around, see the table, see the battlefield, see the other perspectives, be able to walk around to actually move the models yourself rather than hey, can you shuffle this over? It's not a huge thing. It's, especially at a narrative, most people are fine, they're cool with whatever, but it just very tight, very claustrophobic.
And I will say, you said last year you had a little bit more space, because my other complaint for the narrative area is there's not much space to get your faction together to talk through things.
Last year we were at the end of the competitive hall, so we kind of had we had the tables, and then we had the whole area behind that, and we were able to gather as groups. So Desolationists, Enlightenment, Raiders, and the 4th one, Stalwarts.
Yeah, that's the one I am on.
Yeah, I got it right.
You got it right.
You were able to gather up and
talk through
as a team, pick your deployments, pick where you're going, pick how the missions and what missions you want to go, what planets you want to go to. We didn't really have much of an opportunity to do that because there just wasn't space.
There wasn't space, and because of that, there wasn't really time.
Yes.
We did walk through some of the other rooms. We got to the dealer's room. I like the dealer's room.
I ended up buying more of those Death Riders.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
I thought I talked you out of it.
I ended up doing it because I had
because you were unsupervised.
Because I had 4 impulse control.
And you were unsupervised.
And I was unsupervised. I also bought Voton mats, objective markers, and a set of Voton dice, but also a set of Krieg dice.
Okay.
So I'm still not committed. I still haven't committed one way or the other. Anyway, go on.
No, that's fine. But I like the fact a lot of big name groups are here between terrain stuff, paint stuff, minis, even the frontline gaming secondhand store. I thought was pretty darn cool. Yeah. I didn't buy anything. I don't really need anything.
There was that one. There was also another secondhand store, which I did walk through just to see what they. Yeah, it's a little smaller one. It's 2 rows. But I did walk through and see that. Monument Hobbies is here. Army Painter's here. Creature Caster. Tabletop Titans. Misty Mountain Gaming was here. GW has their thing. Artist Opus. Catalyst. Catalyst wasn't here last year. That was surprising. AK Interactive. This is actually where I picked up some of their
Baron of Dice
paints last year. It was the first time I was able to use that. Gamer Grass.
People said I needed to buy more dice at Baron of Dice, but no.
They're very nice dice.
My partner needed to buy some Baron of dice.
Yeah, that was rough. It was good. There was it was a wide variety.
Yeah.
Unlike at obviously I get it at the US Open / Grand Narratives. It's just GW because it's a GW event.
Well, and even at other little convention things, you'll have the dealer room where there might be 2 or 3 vendors. And there'll be ones that are either local or regional.
Yeah, awesome stuff with the dealer hall.
And I will say, I have not gone in there unsupervised because, I don't know, I don't need dice. I don't need models.
I don't need dice or models, but I'm going to buy them.
Okay, fair.
I don't need them. I can stop anytime I want.
No, the other thing is when we signed up, we got to go through the lines and get swag.
Yep.
That was a fun experience because we're really good at this. Sign up for the narrative, you did get swag, which I thought we did, but it didn't. officially say swag bag.
Yeah.
So when they had us divided up into lines, there was a swag bag line and a non-swag line. And so we got in the swag line and they said, well, are you getting swag? We said, we don't think so. They said, we should go to the other line.
Right.
So we walked over to the other line. Other line was much longer.
Yeah.
Then the swag line emptied out. So the guys in the running line said, hey, they're both open,
Come
so
over here.
come on over here. Well, we've already made it closer to the front, so we said, we'll just stay here. We don't want to line jump twice. So then we finally get in, go to the guys to turn on our tickets. They said, oh, you guys are getting swag. You need to be in the other line.
In my defense, I ordered my tickets for LVO last June, so I don't remember
Well, that's fair.
what I ordered. I don't remember what the package was.
I
It's
am
like,
thrilled that I got a T-shirt and I got a glass. I actually like
T-shirt's cool.
glasses. Like,
Yes.
because I love my Renegade Open one.
It's a
I
good
still
pint
have.
glass. Yeah, it's a good pint glass, little fridge magnet, pin. Like, it was cool. It was
I mean,
very
it's just
worth it,
little
yeah.
tchotchke
Yeah.
things, but it's memorable.
Did you get your challenge coin?
Yes, I got my
Yeah,
challenge
little-
coin today.
Yeah, Darren went around and gave us challenge coins, so that was cool.
I don't know what is it just here have this because it's cool.
So usually what FLG does is you get a challenge coin for like attending different events, and then you can like trade them in for stuff. I just think they're cool, so I'm going to keep it.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, it reminds me of the Grand Narrative token.
yes, yeah,
And so
yeah,
that's kind of how I was going to treat it too. Just have a new little
Yeah,
coin to keep.
exactly. Yeah, that's what I've done in the past.
The other thing is like, it's just I'm reiterating myself. It's just big.
Very big.
I don't want to say overwhelming because I mean technically floor space, the Grand Narrative probably takes up just as much space, but it's spread out and it's all really one event.
Yeah, it's a little more diffuse.
Yes.
This is a lot more and like I said, we were talking about you were like, oh, well, it'd be nice to like have more rooms or spread some of that stuff out. I think, unfortunately, really what it would be is LVO is prioritizing putting butts in seats, like getting people there. I think they like having over 1,000 people in one room playing in one event.
The largest LVO?
Yes. Yeah.
It was crazy.
So I think they like being like, this is 1,000 people in one room. And, you know, when we're doing this, it's this many people in one room. And I think that's, if they were to expand it or like figure out a way to make it bigger, they would just put more people in the room. They wouldn't like spread it out more. It would just put more people in. And it's fine. Just
the other thing, which I'm going to cross my fingers because we're recording after 2 days. We got one more day to go. Water.
Yeah.
I'm so used to events having like available water, which they do here, but instead of having like a water decanter
It's
that you
bottles,
fill out,
yeah.
it's bottles of water, which they drug in a huge pallet for the room that's like 3 tall and like 4 deep.
I wonder if this is a Rio thing. When it was at Bally's, they had the water decanters and you just go out and fill them up. And the Rio doesn't do that. They've had the bottled water. I don't know if it's just a different thing. I don't know if it's like hotel specific.
But
yeah, it's bottled water, which is fine.
The bottled water is good for sitting at a table, sitting on the floor, because you knock it over, it's got a lid on it.
You're not going to spill it, yeah.
But today, when I went there, the whole pallet was empty.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping they get more for tomorrow.
Okay, so moving on to the actual narrative event itself. What do you think about the structure of the narrative event with like the way that it's set up?
Actions, it's like, well, why don't you go there? 4 actually kind of feels balanced because
and the 4 factions are stalwarts, raiders, enlightenment, and desolationists.
Yep.
And there's different things like for like what you're trying to do. Desolationists are just trying to kill a bunch of things. Raiders are trying to like steal and disrupt. So it's kind of like
Enlightenment is trying to solve Necron mysteries.
Yeah.
And Stalwarts are just trying to survive.
Yeah.
We want to build a bastion and a line in the sand and keep everyone off our rock because this is our rock. Yep.
So there's 4 planets that we're fighting over, and there's 8 missions on each planet. Is that what it was? 8 to 10?
10 tables for each
10
planet.
10 tables for each planet.
And
okay.
every 3 or 4, because I think there's 3 different missions on each planet.
Okay.
Every 3 or 4 tables were assigned a specific mission.
So the interesting part of it is when we go to do like the mission there. So it's a team game, 1,000 points per side. This year, more than last year, a lot of people came with a partner that was like, I'm going to play with this guy. Like, this is my partner for the event.
I think that's true, but I'm also starting to hear that people just got a partner and then it was just easier to stay. Because like you said, there wasn't any time to separate and plan and team up. It was just more like, hey, go put your stuff up here.
Because last year, the 4 games that I played with 3 different partners. This year I've had the same partner every game, which is fine. Kenny, as Chaos Knights player, brings all of the shooting, and I bring the melee, so it works out really well.
Well, but for me, I've had teamed up with someone just because they were there and we didn't have partners. And then I kept him for that day, and we thought we might switch over. But then today we did team up again. We're like, oh, this works. Because he's actually a new player. He's learning the game, plays Dark Angels. So I'm actually familiar-ish with Dark Angels, so I could give some tips.
No, for sure.
But then after we got out of lunch today, he'd put his up there, and he told me, he saw me, he said, oh yeah, I put it on this table. I went up to put my tag on that table because, step back here for a minute, how they do the missions is each faction will have a time to place 2 people up there saying, I'm going to go here. Yeah. The first group that gets placed will be the defenders.
And it's basically, it's a big cardboard thing for each planet.
Science project.
Yeah, it's like one of those big science fair things.
A different poster board for each planet, and then they're numbered like 1 through 10, and then each one has missions on the side so you can see what mission it is. Once you put your things up there, you go to that table. Yeah. So he put his up there. I hadn't, so I was waiting in line to get up there to put mine up there. And a stalwart put their thing up there like 2 people ahead of me. So I had to go team up with something, which I really enjoyed the third game of it because I played with a Blood Angels player.
Oh, nice.
I'll get to this, but I'll just spoil a little bit. After playing, he thought he was playing the wrong army. He was that impressed with Repentia.
Yeah, Repentia were pretty good. They did die to certain things very quickly, but yeah, they got
You
work
mean
done.
getting
They've gotten
breathed
work
on?
done. Yeah.
That was like my gripe once again would be having enough time to work out and set up and playing. Like at the Grand Narrative, they take the time saying it here,
Like
come
the
here.
briefs
here's
between
the
each
brief.
round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I like how he did the nightly brief. Grand Narrative is very much GW story driven there. Here, I mean, there's a thing that we're doing things on planets, but the individual stories are more player driven.
Player and army driven.
And so this really feels more like a player event, while GW is a grand narrative event.
After each round, whoever wins the missions can control the planet, and whoever is in control of that planet gets specific bonuses for like the next mission. Yep. So like there's actions or a bonus or like a one-time thing you can do. So there's a little bit of strategy there of like which bonus would benefit us, or can we take multiple planets, or like at one point last year, the Desolationists, we had 3 of the 4 planets.
Oh gosh!
But it was very hard on the 4th one. We ended up losing 2 of them because it's like, well, we only have so many players. Do we spread out so that we were like defending these and trying to take the 4th one, and like you spread yourself a little too thin, and we lost some of those planets. So it's very interesting, like kind of push and pull with the control.
I'll say this we're through 2 days of this now. End of day 1, Stalwarts got 2 planets, and our bonuses were amazing. One of them was a flicker field, so we could like just go through. So I actually had a penitent engine go through a wall because I flicker field through it. And then the other one we got is probably my favorite, the Holy Hand Grenade.
I did use the Holy Hand Grenade against the Stompa and took it down to 1 wound. So, which was the second time in 4 games that I decided to do something in the shooting phase.
Nice.
I guess we'll just kind of jump into like the games. Yeah. I was paired up with Kenny, who's playing Chaos Knights. The very first game that we played was Belladonna 2, I think. We were facing John Bowers and John Powers. So it was a father and the son. John, the younger, was playing Orcs. John, father, was playing Gene Stoker Colts. He was new to 40K as a game, so he was only... I think he'd mentioned this was maybe like his 5th game, like overall.
I will say I've noticed a lot. Like I've something like, this is my 3rd or 4th game ever. Yep. Or I
haven't played a lot this edition. Yeah. And like that.
So this really feel like I felt Grand Narrative. Also, there was a big talk ahead of time of don't have this be your first things. Play some games beforehand. Yep. They didn't say that here. Tons of new players, which is a good thing.
No, it's very good, and I think it works because you have a teammate that can kind of help you with strategy. It's low key, so like obviously like we were helping opponents and we're telling them like what to do. I felt bad because I don't know Gene Stoker Colts very well, so I couldn't. Nothing. Yeah, so I couldn't really like help. But with some of the other games, like they were playing other armies that I knew, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know how this works. I know how this works. I know roughly that. I don't remember exactly what mission we ended up playing, but we ended up winning. We ended up only getting through like turn 3, so I ended up taking kind of the cultist list. cultists, berserkers, 2 small units of 8-pound. And I've realized that small units of 8-pound, you might as well not take anything because 3-man units just get shot up super easy. We ended up, like, there was a couple of vehicles, and, like, you know, then once we took those out, then it was pretty easy to mop up. But the knights, the 3 Imperial Knights, or Chaos Knights that Kenny ran, I don't think took any wounds in that game. Like, it just wasn't, there just wasn't a lot that he could do, that they could do against him. Because both the Orc player and the Genestealer Cult player both were more infantry based. So they had a few things like the Saboteur that could throw like his explosives at the knights like that to do mortal wounds, but they didn't have a lot of reliable damage output. So we ended up winning that game, but it was fun. And like I said, got a lot of, hopefully got some learning, and some experience with John and John, but good opponents, fun game.
We also did Urban Warzone, and we were paired up against a Necron and a Rubric, or a Thousand Suns.
Nice.
No, it wasn't. But so they were coming to collect the bodies, and we were trying to rescue the bodies, because that's the kind of the mission of that Urban Warzone. Although Kevin probably didn't do any of those actions. He probably let his opponent just take the bodies away.
I mean, I actually did do a couple because I had the Jackals that were like doing some of the objectives.
Yeah, so in that one...
Because they weren't doing anything else. They weren't killing anything.
So in that one, he decided to put all of his Terminators in Deep Strike. That was a little painful for me because now it's like I have to survive turn 1 to let him get his stuff in. And the opponents got to go first. He had the one playing Thousand Suns said this was pretty much a Legends list because he doesn't get to play all that stuff anywhere else.
Yeah.
So he had the Chaos Drop Pod with legs that could come in on turn 1 because it's a drop pod.
It's an awesome drop pod.
And
if that model wasn't like $170 Forge World resin, I would have like 3 of them. Because they're so cool. But it's also like, it also, after it drops, it basically moves around like a flyer. Yeah,
it didn't on here,
awesome.
Because on here, I'll do my spoiler thing. It dropped onto a point, and then it just stayed there siphoning up people, like they were cows or something. But no, it got the Rupert Marines out. The Rupert Marines went after my Rhino that had the Palatine in it. Or no, something else blew up the Rhino. Sorry, it was probably one of the Necron Destroyer things.
Yeah.
And then the Rubric Marines came through and like burned all of them except for the Palatine.
Oh, so they had the Flamers?
Flamers and Psychic Sorcerer and...
Because the Rubric Marines can take either the Bolters or they can take the Flamers and the whole squad. Yeah. And the Flamers are very short range, but put out a ton of damage.
Yeah. And he was actually surprised I had anything alive, but I did because I popped my stratagem to give me 4 up, feel no pain. If I hadn't done that, they would have been gone. All of them. And I thought, well, this is cool, because at this event they have some special stratagems specific for the event. And one of them is spend a CP to allow a character to join up to another unit.
Yes.
And I had another squad of Repentia right there. So on my turn, I could have put them together and had them join up. Yeah, he then took other guns and made sure to kill the Palatine before my turn started, so I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I haven't used any of the event-specific stratagems because it hasn't come up. Because every time I've had a character that's alive, like by themselves, there's nothing else around because they're by themselves. Yeah. I did have my squad of 5 charge in, because that was what was there, charge into the rubrics, and I took out 5 of them in melee. Repentia do really well in melee. Even a squad of 5 they
can
fine.
Like, kill things.
They did fine.
Yeah, my other squad of Repentia went on the side. Didn't really do much, got shot up. But my Penitent engine, oh my, it held the center of the board for a long time. Halfway because they ignored it, halfway because, well, one time when they shot at it, I used the stratagem to move up to D6 inches, including engagement range, which saved me, because had I not done that, the next shot was going to be a Strength 14 Necron Destroyer with a long leg thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The track Destructor or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was going to blow me up. So thankfully, I got an engagement range, so it shot something else. Although it could have still shot at me, because technically the Penitent engine is a vehicle, but yeah, that one when the Deathwing finally dropped in, we were already behind like 20 points.
Yeah.
And with all the melee and everything going on, we also only got through turn 3.
Yeah. That's the one thing that I've just in general playing this army, like World Eaters. Exalted 8-bound have the ability to deep strike. They move so fast, I would never want to do it.
Right.
No, especially with Vessels Around, that with my 8-bound, I have advance and charge, turn 1, with Vessels of Wrath. You do lose some other things, and there's a few other times where like the -1 strength or not having the +1 strength would have been beneficial. It's almost worth it to guarantee advance and charge turn 1.
Yeah.
Because every game I was into melee on turn 1.
Yeah. Same for me.
So I don't know why you would ever put Exalted 8-bound in Deep Strike. I just don't. I'm like,
No.
You want them on the table. You
Yeah.
want them running at things.
Yeah, so I totally agree. And I mean, my Repentia army, the penitent engines are ready, advance and charge. I can use a stratagem to have the Repentia advance and charge. And if I do it on turn 1 when I've got the extra movement, I mean, I can easily advance and charge 7 or 8 on the engines, +3. So 10, 11, plus a d6. That's a huge threat range.
I roll, with in my third game, or my fourth game against the Stampa, my Exalted 8-bound, move 9 normally, +2, because I had the +2 movement, so 11, and then I rolled a 6 on their advance.
Yep.
It was a 2-inch charge to assault the Stampa. I was like, this isn't even a long charge. Like, I could. He's like, well, I should have moved the Stampa back, and I'm like, honestly, even if you move the Stampa back, I still probably would have made the charge because I still would have been like 8 inches. Like, it just didn't matter. Like, especially on some of those deployments, you were able to just close the range so fast.
Right. But in the end, we pretty much got wiped off the board. I mean, we still had some. So if that game had gone on to turns 4 and 5, we would have got tabled. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah. Our game, if we had been able to get into 4 and 5 and like played it out, it would have basically just been us mopping up because we were able to kind of prioritize the threats for the things that could hurt the knights.
Right.
And then towards the end, it was like, the aberrants with like the big hammers, like they could do some mortal wounds, but like not enough to take out 2 full knights. So.
Before we talk into things that can kill knights, I do have something else that popped up that game is because GW decided to make the Exorcist more expensive, I couldn't take one. So instead, I took the Demifuge and her Eldar friend.
Mm-hmm.
And in the first game...
Stern and her Eldar buddy.
Yep. In the first game, I dropped them down.
Oh my gosh.
I was playing against Tzeentch, or not Tzeentch, but Rupert.
Yeah,
well,
Tzeentch. Yeah.
Thousand Suns.
Thousand Suns, yeah.
So they were chaos. So the guy fails his mortal wound check, which is easy to do when you're at Battle Shock -2.
Yeah.
And so his bikes took 3 mortal wounds. Then I charged them. The two both have precision. Stern has anti-chaos 2-up on her weapon. So their Chaos Lord on bike went away.
Ooh.
And then pretty much the rest of the game, those guys just mopped up the bike squad because the bike squads couldn't do much. And
Anti-chaos 2-up, man. That's
with precision.
With precision.
And it's AP -2, 2 damage, which is solid.
It's Marine Killer.
Yeah.
Like, that's a Marine Killer.
So they were... Part of me says I should throw them into every list because they're so good.
What's your points?
Make me look.
Because I have those models as well. She's solid. She's very, very good against chaos, but she's pretty solid otherwise, too.
Yeah, I'd say she's solid otherwise because she's only strength 4 if she's not fighting chaos.
Yeah, I mean, but that's... Heck, honestly, for Sister, strength 4 is really good.
She is 85 points for that squad.
Honestly, that's cheap enough that that's kind of worth it to put in any list.
It is. The only thing
it really is. 85 points is, that's worth it.
How I've used her is if I can't afford another unit, because there really aren't units that cheap, that's when I throw her in there. I don't start with her there, but the squad is also Deep Strike and Lone Op. So...
being able to, like, deep strike in, kind of go wherever you need, like, that's good. Like, that's not bad.
Yeah. Good unit, I think very underutilized, and I don't think people think about her. Yeah, against Chaos, she shines. Against not Chaos, she's okay.
Yeah, against Chaos, absolutely worth the 85 points.
Yes. She's still cheaper than an assassin that can place things.
That's actually a really great way to think of her. She's basically a Chaos, like an assassin against Chaos.
Yeah.
It lacks a little bit of the flexibility that, like, assassins do, because you can put in the assassin that you want if you need to. But yeah, I mean, 85 points, that's it's hard to go wrong. Kind of thinking about it on mine, like the Master of Executions is 100 points. On his own, isn't really that great. I mean, has a good melee weapon, precision against characters like that. Buffs Berserkers make him go first, which is huge. No invuln save, tough 4, only like 5 wounds. Like
this one has 4 up invuln,
yeah,
but only tough 3.
But it's one of those things where it's like, no, but it's still worth it, like because it's so cheap that.
How many wounds does he have?
5.
Okay, well this squad, because it's 2 models, has 3 on the Eldar and 5 on her. So 8.
Yeah, so 8 wounds. That's not bad. Yeah. I mean, for 85 points, that's really solid. So
okay, now that we're talking about her,
yeah.
Nobody use her so the GW doesn't find out she's good and raise her cost.
Well, that's the thing. I think she's integral to the specs. I don't think she's like stupid good, like oh my god, overpowered good. Still very situational because you're only going to be, I would say, a third of the time fighting chaos.
Yeah,
because
if that.
A third of the time, in general, you're going to be fighting Imperium, or more, probably half the time fighting
Imperium.
Half
the time Imperium, yeah.
And then, like,
Chaos and
Xenos and half to be Chaos. So, like, okay.
A fourth of the time.
A fourth to a third of the time, she's really going to shine.
Yeah.
And then even as such, like, she's still, like, lone op, deep strike ability, like...
They can do actions.
Being able to just drop them in and do actions is worth 85 points.
Yeah.
Like, that's not bad.
And the only thing that is... Since she's not a penitent, she doesn't get all the buffs that my army gets.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing is a negative.
So my second game was against a bunch of assholes, and we're not going to talk about it. So the second game was against Dennis and Clay.
I'll team this.
Yeah.
Our lunch took a long time.
Yes, it did.
So by the time we got back, play had started.
Yeah.
So we got up there, we find our tickets.
Not our names.
I find my partner, and we put ours, and there wasn't many options left for us. So
and
you put yours on first.
The guy that's Kenny, the guy that's kind of that was partnering with me, is basically the faction leader, finger quotes, because he's like, he's not like doing, he's like.
Because the organizer said each faction pick one.
Like, I'll organize it if I need to, but like he's not like demanding.
And for Kevin's faction, everybody took a step back and left Kenny in front.
But basically, we've been kind of picking our battle last, like letting everybody else pick, and then kind of going where we need to. So it worked out that we showed up coming back late anyway, because we were probably going to pick last regardless. Yeah. So we ended up facing you and Clay.
Yeah, Clay also, the nice thing, he's switched up his list every game because he wants to try out new stuff, and 2, he's doing the whole thing of, well, this didn't work, let's try something new.
So I brought about 2,500 points total of my army.
He's probably got that much too.
So I have various things. So I swapped out. So like I took the Jackals out of my list and I put. Because I had
I would have loved to fight the Jackals.
I had the 2 small 8-bound units, and my Exalted 8-bound, and a 3-man Exalted 8-bound, and a 3-man regular 8-bounds, and they both died very quickly in the first game.
Oh, okay.
So in your game, I put 2 6-man units, and they were a lot more resilient. They were a lot more resilient. I like taking them in the full unit of 6 because you actually have wounds and attacks. Because a 3-man unit, a 3-man unit of like 8-bound against like Marines, like a 10-man tack squad of Marines probably won't kill the squad. A 6-man squad absolutely will. We'll just chew through them. The game against you was fun. We were playing Line in the Sand. No,
Supply Raid.
Supply Raid. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong one.
On Belladonna.
On Belladonna. Yeah, that was the one where we were on Belladonna. Yep. So I think we're on Saint. Yeah, we definitely Saints Mercy the first time.
Yep, Saints Mercy was the first one.
You were able to get off your combo.
You guys got to go first.
We did need to go first.
And so you were trying to charge into us.
I did, and that was like the one time that I did actually fail a couple of my long bomb charges. Or not even like long bomb, like medium bomb charges. Yeah. I was...
Well, also, there was -1 to advance in charge rolls.
There was also -1 to advance in charge.
Although we didn't... We forgot about that rule in the first round.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I wouldn't say I failed it because of that, but I didn't fail it because of that. I failed it because I failed. But I did get one of the assaults off against, like, the intercessor squad. Yeah. So I did get one of the charges off, but I didn't get... What I wanted to do is I wanted to get the charges off against your Rhino to be able to pop the Rhino to make the Repentia come out, but, like, not be able to, like... So basically just make you have to, like, not be able to, like, run at me and get the charge and stuff off.
But I want to run at you for the charge.
Right. Well... So we talked about your combo, all weekend of like, So
this is my penitent, the Repentia combo: Swatted 10 Repentia, the Palatine, and the Palatine gets the enhancement saying you can join Repentia combo. Actually, there's more. The Repentia already have sustained hit 1. With the Sister Superior in that squad, they re-roll all hits and all wounds. The Palatine gives the squad lethal hits. The Palatine also has an ability where I can discard a miracle dice, so every time I make a wound before the save, they will be taking 1 mortal wound in addition to all the damage after the failed saves. So that's almost it. But then there's more. The Repentia detachment has a stratagem that lets you crits on 5s. So now I'm rolling 18 attacks from the Repentia that crit on 5s that have sustain and lethal. Every lethal is a wound, so every lethal is automatically a mortal wound in addition to whatever else.
So you did get that combo off against my Exalted 8-bound.
Yep.
This is what I mean about like a 6-man unit being so much more resilient than a 3-man unit.
Right, you got to pick them up.
Because, well, here's the thing though. You did all of that, and you rolled pretty well.
I did almost all that. Yeah. I forgot my rule called sustained hits, true. Which would have been 18 more swings at them.
Okay, fair enough. You basically did exactly enough wounds to kill the 6-man squad, and not the Lord that was with them.
And had I remembered sustained hits, I probably would have got them.
In fairness, there was also one that made you -1 to wound, a strat that I could have used, but it's the one that was worded poorly in the Vessels of Wrath.
Well, -1 to wound wouldn't have helped you. Because all the lethals, who cares? I don't roll wound rolls.
That's true. I guess that's true. Yeah, I guess that's true. But
in the other fight, -1.
The other one would have well, and then also remembering that I get to fight first.
Yes, remember your rules.
Yeah, fights first is minorly important.
Yeah, so I forgot sustained hit. Kevin in the other thing forgot fights first as my Repentia on the bottom of 1 charged up to his
Berserkers. Wiped that squad.
And even without all the miracle dice shenanigans, the Repentia hit hard.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is like Berserkers are much less resilient than like 8-bound. Like 8-bound are very tough. They're toughness 6, 3 wounds apiece, 3 up, 5 up. Regular 8-bound get a 6-up feel no pain, or Exalted 8-bound get a 6-up feel no pain. I usually have the feel no pain option on, so it's 5 up. They're very difficult to shift. And the Repentia hit really hard. I was impressed. Like I was really impressed with how hard they hit because I knew they hit well, but what's their strength? The strength 6?
Yes.
Yeah. But the double strength, like the strength 6 on them really helps.
Well, and most of the time on turn 1, I pick the +3 to their movement.
Yes.
So I can easily get into those charge ranges. Mm-hmm. As the game went on, I'll jump ahead to this one. The squad that was still alive, because after I took out Kevin's squad, that squad just got shot to pieces. But my other squad came in closer to the end of the game. The knight was sitting on the middle point, had taken no wounds. I think this is probably turn 2. Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
So my squad is now in the detachment rule of +1 on attack on charges and +1 strength on if you've charged. So by charging the knight, now that squad is strength 7, so I'm actually wounding on 5s.
Yep.
And that makes a huge difference, 5 to 6. And then I can pop the crits on 5s. And I went to tower. Long story short, that squad that took out his berserkers took down a knight in a single round of melee.
Yeah.
From full to dead.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is like the Imperial and Chaos Knights, the lack of invuln in melee is really hard on them. Like they're, that's why like I love the Lord of Skulls because he's kind of equivalent, but he has that 5-up invuln all the time. Knight's invuln for shooting is better, but having an invuln in melee is,
He was still saving on 5-ups. If he had an invuln, it would have been 5-ups.
It probably would have been 5-ups, yeah.
So,
but yeah, I guess it probably wouldn't have mattered in that case. But just in general, like when you get knights into melee against knights, like they're not as resilient as they seem like they should be. I ended up getting tabled that game. Like I didn't have anything left on the table.
That was mostly me.
Died pretty. Yeah. Well, so I took a different list. That game, and I basically only had 3 units.
Yes, that was rough for you.
Yeah, and especially with the playing with the Knights player who also only has 3 units.
Yeah,
there just was like you were able to focus down, and the Dark Angels player, same thing. Like he was able to focus fire on units as well. So
he tried.
No, I mean, he did.
His dice. His dice were so bad that he did because he fired at the Armiger. Armiger's still alive.
Yeah.
He fired at the Knight. Knights didn't take any damage. It's like,
He did end up switching his dice out midway through. I felt bad because his very bad, very bad dice luck. But yeah, like just the strength of like world leaders, I think, is like being able to flood the field with targets and like threats.
Yeah, you didn't have that,
and I didn't have that, and I didn't have, and this is why I switched to a different list for the other games where I had a Mauler Fiend in there as well. Basically, I took out one of the regular 8-bound units and put the Mauler Fiend in there, and then was able to put the Demon Prince back in. So now there's 2 more like big threats.
Yeah, that's
the Demon
scary.
Prince is flat garbage. It's absolutely not worth the points, but he has a profile that looks scary and a model that looks scary.
Yeah.
So people try to like shoot at him, and that means they're not shooting at the Mauler Fiend, which is way worse, which is way tougher.
Yes, I'll agree with that.
Yeah. So we did end up winning that game mostly because...
I'm going to go back a little bit.
Yeah.
I actually got to do some new stuff that I forget to do.
That's true.
Because normally I'm in my mindset, rhinos, drop off your Repentia, you're done. Okay, good job, Rhino. Rhinos are vehicles.
Yes.
Vehicles have tank shock.
Vehicles can tank shock. And tank shock is fun.
His Armiger, I was trying to tank shock the bejesus out of because...
I mean, it works.
It did. And thanks to the tank shock and other things, we got the Armiger down. So by the end of the game, all you guys had left on the board was the giant red knight.
Yes.
Although by that time you'd killed, I think all I had
killed everything.
I had 4 Repentia, and I think I still had a Palatine.
Because the one, I think the Palatine never.
You killed my Rhino.
Yeah, the Palatine never died. Yeah,
and he had I think 4 Terminators and 4 Hellblasters.
The one thing I'll say, like the Repentia once. After they did their melee, and they earned their points back for sure.
Oh,
like
yeah.
They wiped out a 300 and some point unit of 8-bound,
and then a 300 some odd point knight.
Yeah, so like they absolutely earned their points back. But then the other knight just looked at him and shot him, and they just fell down.
Bolter fire kills them. Weight of fire kills them.
So it's very interesting. But they were very effective. Like how you were using them.
The only problem I have, especially in this event with them. They need to be attacking. They're not defensive.
Yes,
so they
absolutely.
are not good at this thing called actions.
Yes.
So I really... Actions are a problem.
I ended up using Jackals in most of my other games to be able to do actions because I don't want 8-bound or Berserkers doing actions.
Right.
So it's like you need to... So I think like in your list, having...
Well, that 5 squad is supposed to just be my action person.
We expand that out to 2,000 points... and you take something like Battle Sisters or Novitiates to do actions.
Yeah,
I think that would be a good balance with them.
I could dip into the Agents of the Imperium and take the guys with the shields who have the 4 bin bones.
No, for sure.
Actions.
No, for sure. Like, yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, you have some other options. At 1,000 points, you're always going to be like one-sided, not like well-rounded,
you're
just because
focused.
you can't be.
No, I'll say in the end that game was I had
that
a
game
lot
was
of fun.
very fun. Yeah, that game was very fun.
I enjoyed showing off the Repentia, being able to pull it off.
Yeah, And honestly, I will say this as well. Like the conversions and the paint scheme on those look real great because you're painting them up as Felinids, which is awesome.
I actually have gotten so many compliments, which surprised me because I didn't think my paint job was that great.
Same thing, man. Like look at with my army. That's my thing. It's like I look at my army and I'm like, oh, I see all of the mistakes I made painting this because I was trying to do it fast. And it was like, oh my god, this looks so cool. And I'm like, yeah, but this and this and that. And I'm like,
Yeah, and when people have said that they like the fact that I went into the extra detail to make them like tigerish and get all the stripes on there.
That's the part that really makes it, I think, is like adding the tiger stripes and stuff. Like that really sells the theme.
Yeah.
And it's just nice because you have, at a glance, you have your white tigers and like your Yellow Tiger, I guess.
Orange Tiger,
whatever.
Tiger.
Yeah. So it's like
And then I've got my normal looking one.
They visually look different,
Yes.
which is awesome. So like at a glance, you can just tell like boom, these are different.
Right.
So you don't even need the squad mark things. You just
No, I
have,
don't.
you have
Like I
different-
did colors.
But yeah, we ended up winning that game. I don't remember what the final score was.
It was
but
bad.
It was bad.
Oh wait,
but it was,
no, it was 70-66. We came back.
that's right, it was very-
We
that's
started
right, it's
getting
very
points for
close.
killing your vehicles.
That's right. Yeah, it was
and
very.
we
close.
learned that had we actually done an action on turn 1, which we forgot to do,
that you would
that we would have got the 5 points with that, and that would be
you would've won.
71-70.
Yeah, it was very close.
It just it just felt like we were so far behind the beginning.
Yes,
But once we started taking down the knights at the end,
started catching back up.
we started catching up because that was another victory point thing was killing vehicles.
Yes,
Which my rhinos died early, and that got you guys a lot of points.
Yes, for sure. So after that, like we, the Desolationists controlled Belladonna, I think, for like day 2, and it was kind of split on some of the other ones. I don't.
Stalwarts had 2.
Stalwarts had 2 of the planets.
Yep.
Yeah,
We had Saints Mercy and Avnir, whatever it is.
Adir.
Adir.
Yeah, Adir.
And then the other 2 factions were fighting over the last planet.
After that, we went to the Strip, and we went to Dim Tai Fung. Oh my gosh! If you were in Vegas, go there. It's great. Dumplings were amazing. It is absolutely worth it. We had to wait an hour to get in, but it was absolutely worth it.
Yeah.
We also ran into unofficial 5th chair on the podcast, Dave Arman, who hadn't seen in person in
Yeah, I had
years,
seen Dave
4 years.
forever, and he was just randomly in the hallway in the hotel.
He was kicking shit the first day, man. Like he was 3-0 and was like, I think topped out at like 9th or 10th overall.
11th, I think.
11th. He did lose a game, but it was very close.
Oh, no. And then I guess the third game's going on while we're recording.
And the third game's going on now, so I don't know how that went. But he did end up losing today. But we made him commit that if he made the top 8, that he had to come on the podcast. But so he's out of it for now. But
I mean,
I want to get him. Yeah, I still want to get him on just to talk about like LVO and his experience as well.
Because
love having him on. Yeah,
moved away from the competitive side. He's still there.
Yeah,
and so it's still good to get those different perspectives because we had this conversation before that. We used to, in between games, when we were playing on the more competitive side, saying, okay, what's my matchup? Okay, what's the good strategies against it? Okay, did anyone know this player? What's their tendencies? And it's that type of thinking and planning between games that you have to do to get your edge, get sharp, because you got to stay focused. And Dave's good at that.
It's a slog, too, especially like here at LVO, because it's 1,000 players, 3 games per day, 3 games on Thursday, 3 games on Friday. And if you were in the top 4 after day 2, you go to the final. If you were in places 5 through 12, 5 through 12, you go to a shadow round. So you have to play a 4th game. So there's people now that are finishing up their 3rd game. They still have to play another game tonight before getting to the elimination round tomorrow, where they're playing super highly competitive, high pressure games. The amount of pressure that goes into a top 8 finish at LVO or winning LVO, I want my 40K. I want to enjoy 40K. I don't want to. That doesn't sound fun.
I mean, to each their own.
No, I know.
That's their thrill, and some
absolutely
are really good.
Oof, that does not sound fun. Today, round 3, we get up, we go play our games. I'm paired up with Kenny again. We were playing Paul and Matthias for round 3. So we're playing on Adir, the mission line in the sand. Paul and Matthias they had brought different Eldar aspect warriors. One side was Jane Zarn Banshees in a Wave Serpent, Mugen Ra and Dark Reapers outside of that, and then Asherman and Dire Avengers in another Wave Serpent. Then the other guy brought Ghost Specters with their Phoenix Lord, and Fuegan and Fire Dragons, and Karandrus and Striking Scorpions. And then I could think like a unit of Guardians. Yeah, Imperial Knights shoot Eldar very good.
Everything shoots Eldar very good.
But
I mean, the only thing I could say about that is it sounded like the person...
It was very fun. It was very thematic.
Was doing the last huzzah of Eldar before the new codex.
It was very fun and thematic because they had 5 or 6 Phoenix Lords on the table. Like, very thematic, very fun. And like they had planned, like, you know, we're not taking different things. Right. Like, it was fun game. It was a very fun game. We went first, so I was able to get in there and assault a couple things first. I wiped out Actually, no, I didn't get all the way. I didn't get all the way to the Wave Serpent. I got to the Wave Serpent and I assaulted the Wave Serpent, but I didn't blow it up. So the Banshees got out on the next turn and assaulted me, which is fine because we both have fights first, which means I got to fight them first. If I had assaulted them, if I had popped it and then assaulted them, then they would have fought me first. So it was it actually worked out better that I didn't get the assault. Berserkers against Banshees was a very interesting fight. But I was a little bit worried because I was like, okay, but there's a squad of like Dark Reapers there and like this and like, oh my gosh, the Gatling Cannon Knight went like, oh, there's Dark Reapers over there. They're gone. It was basically like he would point his Gatling cannon at a unit and that unit would go.
The thing about Eldar is their toughness 3.
Yeah.
They don't have great armor. I mean, the only reason I was, surviving, aka just not losing a whole unit, just partial units against that, was I had 4 Feel No Pain.
Yeah.
That is what was saving me. Eldar don't have that.
And that's the thing, like with the Vessels of Wrath detachment, I was basically always able to have Feel No Pain up for my army. Because the +2 movement and the Feel No Pain are like any doubles. And on 8 dice, you're going to at least get 2 doubles.
Yeah.
So you can always have Feel No Pain up, and then whatever else you want up. And then with the Vessels of Wrath, I can pick them. So a lot of times I was like, okay, Feel No Pain, sustained and lethal hits on these units. It hurts to lose the extra strength. It didn't matter against some of them because
Eldar doesn't matter at all.
Against the Dark Angels player, it didn't matter because he mostly just had regular Marines. Like he didn't have like specialty like Blade Guard Marines or like that.
Yeah, he just
or
had
Gravis.
Regular and Terminators.
Against you, it didn't really matter because tough 3.
Yeah,
it didn't matter against the Eldar's tough 3. It mattered in the second game, and I'll get to it in a minute here because it would have been really nice to being able to wound the Stampa on 3s instead of 4s.
What's the Stampa toughness?
14.
Ooh. Yeah,
because the Chain Fist on the Exalted 8-bound are strength 14.
Oh, wow.
So being able to getting the strength 15 on the charge, which never matters, in that one very specific case would have mattered.
Thinking about my Repentia, it was just strength 6, but on that certain turn, I can get him up to strength 7, which would jump me from a 5 to a 4.
Exactly. So it's like there's times where that +1 strength really helps, but most cases I don't think it matters. So I think ultimately what it comes down to with the Vessels of Wrath is if you are playing Angron in your list, you don't want to use Vessels of Wrath because it doesn't work for named characters.
Fair. And he takes up so many points.
Yes. So I think if you're playing Angron in your list, you want to take the Berserker Warband. If you're not taking Angron, you probably want to do Vessels of Wrath because it's more flexible. Being able to guarantee advance and charge turn 1 with at least 2 or 3 units is game changer. We had some fun assaults. The Banshees did eventually wipe out the Berserkers, but then we shot them off the table with the Knights like that.
Eldar's big weakness is, can you shoot at me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm dead.
Yeah. Well, like even such though, like the World Eaters, like in melee, were still able to get a lot done because I was also picked some targets. Like I picked the Guardians and the Dire Avengers to like try to assault them.
It's not a combat.
Right. So it's like I'm trying to assault that, and then I was like, you shoot the Striking Scorpions. You shoot the
melee ones.
Yeah, you shoot the melee ones so that I don't have to fight them.
You don't want to fight melee versus melee?
No, I don't. You want to make charges and fights that you know you can win.
You don't want to throw rock against rock? You want to go rock against scissors?
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Ideally. So we ended up winning that game. I don't remember what the final score was. We ended up winning that one pretty handily. But it was a very fun game. Very thematic to see all the different aspect warriors. And I love seeing the Ghost Specters. Those models are great. The Shadow Specters. Yep. Yeah. Those models are so great. The weirdest thing about them, though, comparing them to all the Eldar now, their bases. Yes.
They're still on 25 mil.
They are still on 25 mil bases. We were talking about that towards the end of the game, that like now that, and I don't know that they'll do this, now that all of the other aspect warriors are updated in new plastics, my hope is that they do like Shadow Specters next and do like a plastic version of them. I don't think they will, but it would be awesome if they did.
They're Forge World.
They're moving a lot of Forge World stuff to plastic, though. That's the thing. Or dropping it completely.
Or Legends. That's what I was going to say.
They're either Legendsing it or moving it to plastic. So
we'll see.
So how did your game go?
Our faction got together and actually talked through things. One of the things they said is we want to hold St. Mercy.
Yes.
They said one of the missions was horrible, called Rites and Rituals. Because if you do the ritual, you take D3 plus 1 mortal wounds.
Oh, yeah.
And so they said, we don't know. I'm like, well, I've got Repentia. We've got a 5-up Field of Pain. Or if we want to just hold it, I've got the Demiurge and that. they've blown up, so they can't shoot me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I've got some options. You want to try it? And we said, sure. So we signed up for it. We volunteered for it.
Nice.
It was probably not a smart thing.
Somebody was going to have to do it.
Well,
yeah.
And here's the reason why I say it was probably not a smart thing. It's a cold world, and the Dark Angels still had cold dice. No. Well, I mean, yes, but... So we set up, I held the point, we were going to do our prayers on it. This was against Necrons, so my second game against Necrons, and against... Oh, Dark Angels, that's why I forgot it. And both Dark Angels were like, are you the Fallen? So we got to do that little interaction. And neither one knew if the other one was Fallen or not, that's why they're fighting. Or it could just be a misunderstanding. Necrons and Dark Angels versus Dark Angels and Sisters. This time, he swapped in more Terminators, but had them on the board. Since we wanted to hold, he put his 10-man squad of Terminators on the board, and had the Deathwing come in and deep strike. I scared my opponents with the Repentia. They got first turn, so once again, I still have not had a first turn. I hid my Rhino, and one squad of Repentia, I moved it up to the point we were holding a point. So one Repentia squad was praying, one was holding a point, or the Rhino was on the point. The other one, I had move over. He had moved some guys up, the Dark Angels did, he had some Assault Marines, and they were in their points of their two sides. I checked, I'm like, well, I can go through this doorway because it's a big arch in one of the train pieces.
Yep.
They said, yeah. So I'm like, I'm going to try and make that charge. And so they put their guys there knowing that. When it got to our turn, I still had one penitent engine in one squad and then the solo penitent engine. So I still had two penitent engines, 2 units.
Yep.
They both went up. I had my Rhino move up to the point after I just got my Sisters out. Also got out to move charges. I made those charges. I did the penitent engine first. Mm-hmm. The Necron had, Necron Destroyers or something? The guys with the big size.
Scorpec Destroyers.
Yep.
Yeah. They're a fun melee unit.
He heroically intervened those into my penitent engine. That got them close enough that my sister, the Repentia, easily made that charge then, as opposed to a hard charge. And then my other penitent engine went after the Assault Marines. I had my Repentia go first. Scorpec Destroyers were all gone.
Yeah.
You guys have heard the trick. Just doing that many hits, that many mortal wounds, just wrecked their day. Except for the Lord.
Yeah. Scorpec Destroyers are very similar in profile to the 8-bound. Where like they're a little bit tougher, but they're like a 6-man unit. Like again, like same thing. Like they're very similar to 8-bound. So yeah, if you were able to wipe out the 8-bound, it makes sense you'd be able to get them.
And do you know the only reason why the Lord lived?
Why?
Reanimation protocols. He spent the CP to have him stand up at the end of the
reanimation
phase.
protocols.
Yeah. Which that turned out to be key because that guy was at full wounds at the end of the game.
Oh wow. Yeah.
My penitent engine took out the other Space Marines that were on the point. The Assault Marines lived because penitent engines by themselves only have 4 attacks, and that sometimes is not enough to kill a squad of 5.
Yeah.
Because you only have 4. Math doesn't check out.
Does not check out, yeah.
But once again, this got to the point of, hey, your sisters are there. That hurt. Let's shoot you.
Yes.
And the intercessors that were close by shot them down to where it was just one sister, one Repentia, the Sister Superior, and the Palatine. And I'm like, yeah, this... And Palatine stayed around, because once they got to fights on death, they killed the Assault Marines. Mm-hmm. But then they died to the Lord there, and who'd already gotten rid of the penitent engine, so yeah. The other thing that was bad about this one was Wraiths. I've hated Wraiths before. I still hate Wraiths. I forgot they could move over or through units.
Yes. I saw somebody on the Discord before, so I don't know if this is the guy. Was this the guy that had them, like, designed as, like, the Scorpions?
Yes.
Okay, that's such a cool idea. Where you just flip the model over and you have it where, like, the tail is, like, that's so cool.
Yep. No, I'd forgotten that rule, because he had asked us at one point, this was close to the end of the game, if the intercessors that were going to be screening for my person praying wanted to charge them, and we said nah, because we thought in my mind
they can't get there. Yeah.
Well, they could have got there. He was 2 inches away. He just pulled back. But our thoughts were the race would be stuck here and have to kill them. Yeah. So I'd have my turn.
Yeah, they would be able to get it.
But. And in retrospect, had we known that rule, we would have said yes, and they might not have all died.
7th edition Wraiths, when I was playing
stupid.
Whatever the Dynasty thing was, like, the whole, like, flow chart of, like, formations and stuff like that. Wraiths were so freaking good.
Oh, I know. I died to them a lot. It was like when you saw on the table, you tried to avoid them. So he got through them. He killed my prayer person. which I was sad because there was a technomancer leading the race, and the prayer person I was using was Ephemeral Stern, and he feel no pain one of the things, so he survived at 1 wound.
Oh, that's rough.
So I was sad.
So rough.
And then the race took her out because she can't survive 5 raids.
No, that's rough.
So then I had the other Repentia next turn go fight the race. Between the 4-up invone and the feel no pain, you don't have a 4-up invone, do you, on your 8-bound?
Not on the 8-bound, they're 5-ups. The Demon Prince is 4-up.
Well,
but he fails at 4-up all the time.
Right.
Like it's...
So, but between their feel no pain and the invone, I only killed 3 of the 5. So he still had 1 left, or, one in the... well, I guess I killed 3.
Yeah.
Well, you had 2, but the 2 is like 1 and then the Lord... Not the Lord, the Technomancer. So 1 in the Technomancer, which was enough to then wipe out a lot of mine. And then we just said, okay, let's just talk through the last of it. And because... by that time, they were able to had collapsed on us. Our defenses were not strong because I'm not a defensive army. So, and the Deathwing just
best
died.
Defense is good offense.
Well, that's what I was trying.
Yeah.
And I killed a lot of stuff again. Yeah, that one was not close. So, we tried.
Yeah.
But then
now you can go ahead.
We had lunch. We came back. My partner had changed because we got there late. And so twice in a row, we got there late. I go up, and I'm now with the destruction person, or Desolationist. And it was an interesting battle. So I'm teaching Votann and learning Salamanders. So we set up, and this one was Feed the Swarm.
Yeah,
so
same we were playing. Yeah, same.
Well, we were also on tables right next to each other, so it makes sense. So if you had 10 models on an objective point at the end of a battle round, the objective point goes away. Everyone that's on there takes 6 mortal wounds.
Yeah, because it came up multiple times in our game.
Vehicles count as 5.
Yep.
Vehicles are monsters. Titanic count as 10.
My partner is playing Knights, and we were fighting a Stampa, so there were a lot of Titans on the table.
Oh, God.
So 3 of those objectives went up like Roman candles turn 1. Just
wow. Our plan on this one, we kind of talked through it, is we wanted to hold our 2 in the back, rush things forward to blow up their 2, and then we'll fight over the middle.
Yep.
So that's what we're trying to do. The opponents got first turn again, so I still don't go first. I know. So they come through, they've got a Land Raider, a Land Fortress.
I saw you had the Land Fortress,
And the Land Raider was... all flamers. Inside the Land Raider was a squad of 6 aggressors with flamers. And there's a captain leading them.
Who also had flamers.
Probably.
Salamander.
Salamander. It was
Salamander
flames.
things.
I mean, he had Lysander, Vulcan, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Vulcan. So what had happened there is they got first turn. They shot some of the stuff. They killed my Rhino, which the Votann player was doing good. I normally pick strong targets I want to kill. He went ahead and made sure he picked weaker targets just because he wanted the CP. Yeah. Which is fair. That's a good way to play. So he easily blew up the Rhino and got the CP for the next turn for it. But then that kind of, air quote, made me mad. So I started running on our turn. We got to our turn because they just did some shooting. Yeah. That was it. Penitent Engine, squad of 2, went up to his Sagittar. Repentia that got out of the Rhino that was destroyed went up to his Hearthkin. Or the Pioneers. Yeah. And I'll jump ahead. They meleeed them all down. Well, no. The Sagittar lived with 3 wounds. My bad.
Still.
So on the other side, I had the Penitent Engine rush up to their point. He had 5 people on the point. The Penitent Engine would be 5 more.
Yep.
We went second. This will be the end of the battle round.
Yep.
Yeah, the Land Raider used all its flamers and everything in Overwatch and took out that Penitent Engine. So...
Land Raider Redeemers with all the flamer templates like that are no joke in Overwatch. They hit hard.
But this worked to our favor.
Yeah.
Because now they've used up their Overwatch.
Yes.
So now I had my sisters with the Palatine get out of the Rhino and march up to 2 inches away from the Blade Raider.
This is actually a good time to bring it up, I think, as you mentioned Overwatch. The way that we were doing this is you count as your teammates' models kind of as your army, from the ability to move through them, stuff like that. But armies were separate for effects and auras didn't impact them. You had your own CP pools and you could do your own stratagems and stuff, except for Overwatch. Your team got to Overwatch once. Worked out, well actually we never Overwatch because Knights can't Overwatch and I don't have shoot.
Right.
So,
but this is the same thing in all team games. It's always been ruled of this, because even when...
So it's a good way to do it. It's a really good way to do it.
Because we tried it out...
Keeps Overwatch from being
Dallas
insane.
Group Crusades, where people double Overwatch, and it just felt bad.
It's very overpowered.
So now they got out. So then we spent our turn trying to kill the Land Raider and shooting. We got down to 2 wounds. I had one... My Pincher squad actually has grenades.
Yes.
So I threw grenades. Also, on the other side, we had control of Saint's Mercy at the time still.
So you had the Holy Hand Grenade of Maniac.
So we threw the Holy Hand Grenade at the Sagittar. Because I can do both, because they're 2 different things. Sagittar got it down to lower, and I did enough wounds to blow up the Land Raider.
Nice.
So now they decide they're going to put all of the guys that come out as far away from my Repentia as they can. I used a miracle dice of a 6, and then rolled a 6 on the other one. I only needed a 7.
Yeah.
So I was going to make the charge, but I really made the charge. And then,
Made it with a little bit of pizzazz.
Oh, there's a ton of pizzazz. And yeah, those 6 aggressors and the captain were gone. 18 failed saves and then 18 mortal wounds.
Aggressors are tough, but you can kill them relatively easy in melee because they have good armor, but they don't have an end.
Right, but they've got 6 toughness, but once again, I have 6 strength on my weapons.
If you hit them with the right thing, that's tough.
And Repentia are the right thing. But then, going on in the game, guess what happened to that squad after I did that? They got shot off the board except for the Palatine who lived. Sounds familiar.
Very, very familiar.
Then we kind of just... That was, the big adventure of the game. Because because it's new players, lots of stuff going on, lots of questions. We only made it through 2 rounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was on round 2 when we finally got to blow up things.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And thus, that's what decided the game. The Sagittar had moved on to the point. It's 5. I had my 5 Repentia on our point. Repentia lived. Sagittar was still down at 3 wounds, took 3 mortals, and died.
That's amazing.
So we got the victory points for one of their models dying on the point.
That's amazing.
Final score of that game, 16-13.
Wow.
I mean, we only went through turn 2.
Yeah,
so
but the fact that was basically a turning point.
So it was the Sagittar blowing up that got us the game.
That's amazing.
And the other 2 guys said they had a lot of fun, which it was. It was a lot of fun. It just was slow.
All of the games have been very fun. There's definitely a lot of people that this was... They hadn't played in a little while, or this is some of their first games. So and team games always play a little bit slower. But outside of 1 or 2 games, we were able to get most of the games through what felt like enough to know that the game.
I mean, our game felt that way, and then my game against the Dark Angels and Necrons felt that way.
Our round 4, same mission, playing Feed the Swarm. We were facing Mac and John, Carcharodon, Space Marines, and Orcs. Mac listens to the show, so it was great.
Hi, Mac.
We were making. He was making fun of me the entire time about how I complain about how Chaos gets screwed on everything, which was really funny.
Well, I have a character that's anti-chaos 2 up.
Well, he was like, it's just I don't. I just feel like Space Marine Terminators are really good, and they're just so much better than Chaos Terminators.
Was he playing Space Marines?
Yeah, he was.
Okay,
That's
great.
He didn't even have Terminators list. He was just needling me. It was great. John wanted to take his Stompa out for a walk, so his
cool to me.
1,000-point army was
a
Stompa, 10 Ludas in the Stompa, and a big Beck
to heal the Stompa.
We lined up, and again, if you're on the objective, Titanic counts as 10. So the Stompa was on an objective, one of the Knights was on an objective, and then we ended up having a bunch of just melee stuff in the middle, so we were all 15 people on an objective. So we had 3 go off turn 1.
God.
We ended up winning the game because I tagged the other 2 objectives with my Jackals, but never had a full 10 in there, so it never triggered it.
And see, that's
so I was toe in, tag. Toe in, tag.
That's what we were trying to do in our game, because I knew all of the warriors, because he had 3 squads of warriors who have sticky.
Yep.
His plan was to just try and move them around and sticky them. And that's why we said our plan is to blow them up, because if they're sticky, but if they're gone, they don't count.
Right, exactly. So it was I was able to kind of do that with the Jackals and just, tag those objectives and also do the table quarter missions.
Yeah.
So we did all that and we're able to get all that done. The fun part of the game, though, that's the boring, mission winning stuff. The fun part of the game was my Exalted 8-bound. I got advance and charge plus 2 movement, stuff like that, and then I rolled a 6 on their advance.
Oh, gosh.
And then I rolled a 12 on the charge. So I assaulted the Stompa top of 1 with my 8-bound. This is the one time that I really felt the lack of, like I said, the +1 strength and attacks from the Berserker Warband, because the Exalted 8-bound Chain Fists are strength 14. The Stompa is the only non-forgeable vehicle in the game that is toughness 14. So I was only winning on 4s. If I had been able to get to 15, I'd have been winning on 3s, and I probably would have done, well, I definitely would have done more. I probably would have done significantly more. I ended up taking 10 wounds off it, and that's 30. So, like, I did a decent amount. And then he swept back and wiped the units.
Wow.
Because he had like 24 attacks. Because it's the big
I haven't
chain
fought a
attack.
Stompa.
Yeah, it's
wow.
ridiculous. So he just killed them. The Demon Prince kind of went in the middle, and he got shot up a lot by aggressors, and there were several eliminators. Yeah, the snipers, the Space Marine snipers. So we did try to shoot them out of buildings with the knights and stuff, but they were able to shoot at the Demon Prince and take it down to almost, I think I had 1 wound left. He took his Assault Marine and assaulted the Demon Prince, but my Berserkers were close enough that I was able to heroically intervene with the Berserkers who fight first, and I wiped out them before they got me.
That's
actually,
not a good protective shield.
I didn't kill. I think the sergeant with the Power Fist survived because he did kill the Demon Prince.
Oh, okay.
But I was like, this is totally worth it. I will absolutely take that sacrifice. The distraction card effects of the Demon Prince.
Yeah, which that's
to be able to get that out. Yeah, the Berserkers. Yeah, basically after that, the Berserkers were able to get the assault squad. And then I was able to kind of like mop up and get the aggressors and get other things. And just once the knights, especially the Las Destructor, at one point we were able to kind of whittle with the Las Destructor, which does like 8 wounds a piece like that. Like his vehicles is a lot. We were able to whittle the Stompa down to just a few wounds left. I had the Berserkers throw a grenade at it to get it down to like 1 wound left. And I was like, all right, I'm going to assault in the Berserkers on my turn. I've got lethal hits. I've got a stratagem that gives me reroll wounds against vehicles. I can do a wound to a Stompa. It's going to be very tough. I have to roll a lot of 6s, but I can fish for 6s. The other knight with the thermal cannon finally got in range and hit the Stompa with the thermal cannon and did 26 wounds from the thermal cannon.
Yeah.
And didn't even roll particularly well. But it's like, oh yeah, no, if he had been full up, I basically would have killed him. So the funny thing is the Stompa did go up and did explode.
Oh,
so
is that 2d6?
It's 2d6. So
bye-bye Berserkers?
So no, because I had Feel No Pain up. So the Berserkers, even though they were on the objective that blew up and took mortal wounds, and they were near the Stompa that blew up and took mortal wounds, I had like half the unit left because I was able to make the Feel No Pain saves. So it was actually kind of the best case scenario because that also wiped out a couple of the other units of the other Space Marine players. And it torched the mech because the mech was standing behind repairing it. He took 8 wounds or something like that. He took 8 wounds. He was probably
just too busy to fix it that he didn't notice he was on fire.
We also had a lot of fun with that one because the Adair, whatever the planet was, had like a -1 leadership test.
Yes.
And then the Chaos Knights do all sorts of -1 leadership shenanigans. So in most of the leadership tests and battle chat tests, they were -2. And like the 8-bound have a thing, Exalted 8-bound have a thing where you have to take a leadership test to be able to fall back. So like I locked in the Stompa for a turn before he completely wiped out the 8-bound, like I couldn't move. So we were able to do some things to kind of keep him bottled, and we were on the front foot the whole game. And I don't remember what the final was. We ended up winning that game as well. But yeah, it was fun missions. I like the mission designs. I like that there's these like fun things that have different objectives.
Yeah, here's what I'll say after the 2 days of these, because I'm assuming the final mission might be different or something.
Yeah, because it's not. I don't think it's in the pack. Usually.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the fact that there's 12 missions.
Yep.
There's 4 planets. Each planet has 3 missions. Based on your table determines your mission. And this is all printed out, distributed to you ahead of time that you can look at it. Yeah. And kind of plan it out if you want.
You could strategize and be like, I want to play this mission and with this thing. Like, you can plan that all out, but it's also fun to just throw your name up there.
I'm on the throw my name up the randomly, except I like all of that because, it's not like branching path thing like we've talked about storytelling before. This is like, here's the areas, here's what it's at, go do what you want with it.
Compared to, I think, what we tried to do last year at the Midwest Conquest and compared to like the Grand Narrative, you described it earlier. That is story narrative driven, and this is the players are making their own narratives for their own armies.
Right.
And it's just a different way to look at it. It's very fun. This is why I really wanted you to come to LVO, because I wanted you to participate in this narrative as well, to get ideas for
a different
for our narrative.
No, and this is a different perspective, because this has a totally different feel than anything else we've done, or I've done and or seen.
Yeah, for sure.
And I will say I do really like the way the mission designs are. My one complaint, which is not a complaint really, is the extra bookkeeping of remembering your planet bonus.
Yeah.
But
it's only one thing, so it's not as hard, but yeah.
And
it's definitely easier than like the Crusade stuff.
Right. And so I can't complain too much, because if it's just a small bonus, it might impact things. Like Holy Hand Grenade was fun.
Yes.
But it's just an extra one-time use of a grenade strat, pretty much.
Yeah.
If you forget it, oh well.
Yeah.
But it's not just you, it's your whole faction gets that bonus.
Yeah,
so
and you get that bonus whether you're on that planet or not. Just on that planet, your whole faction gets the bonus. So.
And then the other thing I like, because I printed it out, but they had it PDFs as well. They have everything about the mission, primary, secondary, actions, rules, all on one page. Yeah. And then they have a page for the map.
Yes.
And that's amazing, because then I had this out just on one page. Okay, we're at primary. Okay, let's see what we score. So just having it all there. I mean, technically the GW book has one page of that, one page of map already.
Yeah, but having it,
But printing out or having a PDF readily available is perfect.
Does the mission and layout formatting on here look familiar to you?
I'm going to say no, and then you're going to get mad.
No, I'm saying, well, because that is the format that I basically cribbed for the Midwest Conquest missions.
Okay.
Because I basically took their template and just changed the stuff and put our missions in there. Yeah, that's the format. Because I was like, this is good.
I guess I didn't notice it much, because when I gave stuff to you, it was all in a Word document.
Sure. But like when we put the player document out there, like I basically took their document.
Got it.
So it's the same thing where it's the mission and all the stuff for the mission, and then
I do like the way the packet is laid out. I guess that's my way of saying it. And the guys who are running are really nice. They're trying to stay organized.
Darren does a great job.
His bullhorn, he calls out 1 hour left, 2 hours left.
Oh my gosh. So he's walking around as a commissar, like dressed as a commissar with a bullhorn. And it is a little bit hard because it's a loud room.
Yes.
The Age of Sigmar championships are right next to us.
Yes.
There's Marvel Crisis Protocol next to us. There's another Age of Sigmar event behind us.
Yes.
Very loud room. So the bullhorn's nice. At times, it's still hard to hear even with the bullhorn.
Well, so at times, it's even hard to hear the people across the table from you.
So Darren was walking around with the bullhorn and would go to the end of the rows to make the announcement so that everybody could hear it. Including, I think it was round 1, where he went to the end of the row and spoke into the bullhorn, and I was about a foot away from him when he did that, and I jumped, and like when I heard it, like, so loud that like he apologized because he saw that like I jumped, just like I don't know if you just know that I was there, but it was like, oh yeah, that was like right in my ear. So no, the event's been fun. Tomorrow we have the big finale, which is an all-day event. It is 4,000 points. I think me and Kenny are going to do 2,000 points each and do it because I have 2,000 points.
Oh yeah,
and I want to use Angron. I want to use my Lord of Skulls, and he's like, I've got like 6 more. Armigers that I want to bring, and I'm like, hell yeah, let's bring those. Release the War Dogs.
Release the War Dogs.
You can either do 4,000 points, so it's either two 2,000s or four 1,000 point armies, or some combination of that.
As long as you get to 4,000.
And usually, what they do as well is like on that final day, it's just whoever you want to play with, like regardless of faction, just play and have fun. I'm excited to see how that goes. I'm excited for the finale. But yeah, it's been a good time so far.
Yeah. No, I've only had, I guess, one mishap, I'll say, and this goes back to the water incident. I should probably bring this up. I don't have to, but I will. Yeah, on day 1, I did not eat much for breakfast.
Yeah.
We're on the West Coast, so I ate at like 6 a.m.-ish here because I was hungry. Our lunch break is at 1, which is normally like 3 o'clock my time. I didn't eat much. I didn't have any water because I didn't know the water situation yet.
Yeah.
My opponents offered like a drink, and I said, I don't drink beer or anything. So they said, well, how about a Dr. Pepper? I said, sure. So I drank that. That, apparently 20 minutes later, had spiked my sugar enough.
Oof.
I got dizzy and just had to sit down there.
And
the room was hot.
The room is very warm.
I had no food. And this was just not a good... Thankfully, my partner, the Dark Angels player...
Yep.
he's a first responder.
Oh, that's
he
good.
got me some water. He actually said he had water on him. He said, here's some snacks, eat those.
Good.
You got to get something in you.
Yeah.
And, I mean, unfortunately, it took about 15, 20 minutes. Then I started feeling a little bit better. And then, once we got to lunch, I got food in me. I felt fine.
Felt better. Yeah.
But this is a tip for everyone who goes to events. Make sure you drink water. Make sure you eat enough.
Yes.
And just take care of yourself.
We talked about that at the Grand Narrative.
Somebody
Drink water.
didn't do that.
Yeah, drink water. Like, make sure that you're setting down. Like, you don't take a break if you need to. Like, let people know. Just take care of yourself in the events because, like, it's very tempting to go hard. If you come to Vegas, it's very tempting. I know some people that are like, yeah, I'm going to play 3 games in the championships, and then I'm going to go party on the strip until 2 a.m, and then I'll get up in 3 hours. And I'm like, don't do that, man. That's a great way to.
If you're young and can do it, go for it.
Even if you're young, don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Kevin's right.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it, man.
But there's a first-hand example. We'll wrap this up, have a little break, and then come back with day 2 in the final.